Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers wrapped up preseason play, a 30-7 victory against the Ravens. I'm Dominique Yates. Joining me is longtime columnist Pete Doherty. Pete, just before we wrap up, you can say preseason and put a ribbon on it. I guess they scored 28 more points than they did in Denver in this preseason, but just general observations from what you saw out here today.
You know, I'm sure, obviously they played a lot better than they did against Denver. Now, part of it was Baltimore had the same agenda the Packers did, whereas Denver had a much different agenda with the rookie quarterback and trying to get that going. Both of these teams were just looking to evaluate the bottom halves of their roster and make personnel decisions. And the Packers played a lot better. Everybody, I mean, the greatest interest, I know mine, yours, I'm sure everybody out there is backup quarterback and kicker. And man, not clear answers. I think there's a real possibility that they'll be looking to make a trade at one of those spots for a kicker and maybe trying to sign a quarterback. They've got to think long and hard about this. I just don't know if either of these backups, if Love were to go down early, early in the second quarter of a game, could one of these backups win that game? If he were to miss 3 or 4 games, could they win at least one of them? I think there's real questions about whether they could. So a lot of big questions will be answered, a lot of big decisions in the next 3 or 4 days, I guess, going through Tuesday when cuts are.
It's only fitting that we do touch on quarterbacks because, like you said, no one really created separation out there. You had some moments with Michael Pratt. You saw some good things with Sean Clifford, the nice touchdown to Bo Melton. So your gut feeling, what do you think the Packers might go, like what route they might go?
I don't have a strong feeling just because neither one of them, Clifford's played a lot more football. He played, 5 or 6 years in college. He's 26 years old, played in the NFL last year. Pratt, I think, is 22. He's a rookie. That interception he threw was just a bad one. He just threw it. He just looked right through the defender and threw it right in the guy's stomach. So I don't know. I mean, Pratt has more arm talent, but I'd probably go with Clifford if it's one of the two. The question is, can they do better somewhere out there? Can they sign somebody who's good enough? I don't know that I'd be willing to trade a lot for a backup quarterback because if something serious happens to Love, you're in big trouble anyway. But the difference between, let's say he misses 3 games, that if you go 1-2 and you might still get in the playoffs, and if you go 1-3 and maybe you don't get in, it could matter for the season. So like I said, big decisions to make, and Ryan Tannehill's out there, but I don't know. I think you get the feeling he's waiting for a team to lose its quarterback, and then he can come in to be the starter. If he wanted to sign as a backup, I'm assuming he would have done that back in March or April or May, right? But I wonder if they've at least called that guy to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, especially in these next couple of days with the trade deadline, seeing who's going to make that 53-man roster. And finally, you mentioned the kickers. Anders Carlson, Greg Joseph, they both made their 50-plus yarders, and they did – I guess it's been just, again, up and down through training camp and the preseason games. So is there a number 1, number 2 right now? What is your gut feeling on that as well?
I mean, things were looking pretty good for Carlson the last week and a half. He kicked better. Joseph hit a slump in there. And then Carlson comes out and makes, I think it was a 54-yarder. All right, looks pretty good for him. And then he misses a 32-yarder right here at the end. And even, LaFleur said, talked about both guys had really good moments and made the big kick, and then he goes, and then we missed a chip shot. You just wonder how Carlson's confidence is. If I had to make the call right now, I think I still might lean Joseph. I think he's got the stronger leg of the two, and the accuracy seems to be similar. So what you don't know is there somebody available they could trade for? Would some team out there be willing to give up their number 1 kicker? What would it take to get that if it's a team that didn't think they were going to be very good this year? Tough to pry those guys away. If somebody has a good kicker, they're not going to. It'd take like a 2, I think, probably to get the guy. I don't know if Gutekunst would do that, but at those 2 positions, really big decisions in the next 4 days.
Yes, but I guess if there is a positive with the Packers, there are a lot of questions out there that have been answered as far as with the defense and the offense, plus the depth. So it's going to be very fun to watch how this team continually comes together from now until that September 6th game in Brazil against the Philadelphia Eagles. For Pete Doherty, I'm Dominique Yates. Thank you for watching.